In the depths of night I was awakened by a noise made by the opening of a door, and one by one 7 masked figures silently stalked into my prison. Each bore a lighted torch, and they passed me as I lay on the floor in my clothes, for I had no bedding, and ranged themselves in a line. I arose and seated myself as directed to do, upon the only stool in the room. Swinging into a semicircle, the weird line wound about me, and from the one seat on which I was rested, in the center of the room, I gazed successfully upon 7 pairs of gleaming eyes, each pair directed at myself, and as I turned from one to another, the black cowl of each deepened into darkness and grew more hideous. "Men or devils," I cried out, "do your worst. Make me, if such is your will, as that sunken corpse beside which I was once seated, but cease your persecutions. I have atoned for my indiscretions 1,000-fold, and this suspense is unbearable. I demand to know what is to be my doom, and I desire its fulfillment." Then one stepped forward, facing me squarely. The others closed together around him and me. Raising his forefinger, he pointed it close to my face, and as his sharp eyes glittered from behind the black mask, piercing through me, he slowly said, "Why do you not say brothers?" "Horrible," I rejoined. "Stop this mockery. I have not suffered enough from your persecutions to make me reject that word as applied to yourselves. You can but murder. Do your duty to your unseen masters, and end this prolonged torture." "Brother," said the spokesman, "you know well that the sacred rules of our order will not permit us to murder any human being. We exist to benefit humanity, to serve the wayward, back across the burning desert, into the pathway of the righteous, not to destroy or persecute a brother. Ours is an eleemosynary institution, instructing its members, helping them to seek happiness. You are now expiating the crime you have committed, and the good in your spirit rightfully revolts against the bad, for in divulging to the world our mystic signs and brotherly greetings, you have sinned against yourself more than against others. The sting of conscience, the bitings of remorse, punish you." "True," I cried, as the full significance of what he said burst upon me. "Too true, but I bitterly repent my treachery. Others can never know how my soul is harrowed by the recollection of the enormity of that breach of confidence. In spite of my own open carelessness or defiant bearing, my heart is humble, and my spirit cries out for mercy. By night and by day I have in secret cursed myself for heeding an unhallowed mandate, and I have long looked forward to the judgment that I should suffer for my perfidy, for I have appreciated that day of reckoning would surely appear. I do not rebel, and I recall my wild language. I recant my confession. I renounce myself. I say to you in all sincerity, brothers, do your duty. Only I beg of you to slay me at once, and end my suspense. I await my doom. What might it be?" Grasping my hand, the leader said, "You are ready as a member of our order. We can now judge you, as we have been commanded. Had you persisted in calling us devils in your mistaken frenzy, we should have been forced to reason with you until you returned again to us, and became one of us. Our judgment is for you only. The world must not know its nature, at least so far as we are concerned. Those you see here are not your judges. We are agents sent to labor with you, to draw you back into our ranks, to bring you into a condition that will enable you to carry out the sentence that you have drawn upon yourself, for you must be your own doomsman. In the first place, we are directed to gain your voluntary consent to leave this locality. You can no longer take part in affairs that interested you before. To the people of this state, and to your home and kindred, you must become a stranger for all time. Do you consent?" "Yes," I answered, for I knew that I must not acquiesce. "In the next place, you must help us to remove all traces of your identity. You must, so far as the world is concerned, leave your body where you have apparently been drowned, for a world's benefit, a harmless mockery to deceive the people, and also to make an example for others that are weak. Are you ready?" "Yes." "Then remove your clothing and replace it with this suit." I obeyed and changed my garments, receiving others in return. One of the party then, taking from beneath his gown a box containing several bottles of liquids, proceeded artfully to mix and compound them, and then to paint my face with the combination, which after being mixed, formed a clear solution. "Do not fear to wash," said the spokesman. "The effect of the lotion is permanent enough to stay until you are well out of this state." I passed my hand over my face. It was drawn into wrinkles as a film of gelatine might have been shriveled under the influence of a strong tannin or astringent liquid. Beneath my fingers it felt like the furrowed face of a very old man, but I experienced no pain. I vainly tried to smooth the wrinkles. Immediately upon removing the pressure of my hand, the furrows reappeared. Next, another applied a colorless liquid freely to my hair and beard. He rubbed it well, and afterward wiped it dry with a towel. A mirror was thrust beneath my gaze. I started back. The transformation was complete. My appearance had entirely changed. My face had become aged and wrinkled, my hair as white as snow. I cried aloud in amazement. "Am I sane? Is this a dream?" It is not a dream, but under methods that are in exact accordance with natural physiological laws, we have been enabled to transform your appearance from that of one in the prime of manhood into the semblance of an old man, and that, too, without impairment of your vitality. Another of the masked men opened a curious little casket that I perceived was surmounted by an alembic and other alchemical figures, and embossed with an oriental design. He drew from it a lamp, which he lighted with a taper. The flame that resulted, first pale blue, then yellow, next violet, and finally red, seemed to become more weird and ghastly with each mutation, as I gazed spellbound upon its fantastic changes. Then, after these transformations, it burned steadily with the final strange blood-red hue, and he now held over the blaze a tiny cup, which, in a few moments, commenced to sputter and then smoked, exhaling a curious, epopolic, semi-luminous vapor. I was commanded to inhale the vapor. I hesitated. The thought rushed upon me. Now I am another person, so cleverly disguised that even my own friends would perhaps not know me. This vapor is designed to suffocate me, and my body, if found, will now not be known and could not be identified when discovered. "Do not fear," said the spokesman, as if divining my thought. "There is no danger." And at once I realized by quick reasoning that if my death were demanded, my body might long since have been easily destroyed, and all this ceremony would have been unnecessary. I hesitated no longer, but drew into my lungs the vapor that arose from the mysterious cup, freely expanding my chest several times, and then asked, "Is not that enough?" Despair now overcame me. My voice, no longer the full, strong tone of a man in middle life and perfect strength, squeaked and quavered, as if impaired by palsy. I had seen my image in a mirror, an old man with wrinkled face and white hair. I now heard myself speak with the voice of an octogenarian. "What have you done?" I cried. "We have obeyed your orders. You told us you were ready to leave your own self here, and the work is complete." The man who entered had disappeared. "If you should now stand in the streets of your village home and cry to your former friends, 'It is I, for whom you seek,' they would smile and call you a madman. Know," continued the voice, "that there is an Eastern metaphysical law, more true philosophy than is embodied in the sciences of today, and that by means of the ramifications of your order it has become possible, when necessary, for him who stands beyond the inner and upper worshipful master to draw these treasures from the occult wisdom, possessions of Oriental sages who forget nothing and lose nothing. Have we not been permitted to do this bidding well?" "Yes," I squeaked, "and I wish that you had done it better. I would that I were dead." "When the times come, if necessary, your dead body will be fished from the water," was the reply. "Witnesses have seen the drowning tragedy, and will surely identify the corpse." "And may I go? Am I free now?" I asked. "Ah," said he, "this is not for us to say. Our part of the work is fulfilled, and we can return to our native lands and resume again our several studies. So far as we are concerned, you are free. We have been directed to pass you over to the keeping of others who will carry forward this judgment. There is another step." "Tell me," I cried, once more desponding, "tell me the full extent of my sentence." "This is not known to us, and probably is not known to any one man. So far as the members of our order are concerned, you have now vanished. When you leave our sight this night, we will also separate from one another. We shall know no more of you and your future than those of our working order who live in this section of the country. We have no personal acquaintances with the guide that has been selected to conduct you further, and who will appear in due season, and we make no surmise concerning the result of your journey. Only we know that you will not be killed, for you have a work to perform, and will continue to exist long after others of your age are dead. Farewell, brother, we have discharged our duty, and by your consent, now we must return to our various pursuits. In a short time all evidence of your unfortunate mistake, the crime committed by you imprinting our sacred charges, will have vanished. Even now emissaries are ordained to collect and destroy the written record that tells of your weakness, and with the destruction of that testimony, for every copy will surely be annihilated, and with your disappearance from among men, for this also is to follow, our responsibility for you will cease. Each of the 7 men advanced and grasped my hand, giving me the grip of brotherhood, and then, without a word, they, severally and silently, departed into the outer darkness. In a line, I arose and seated myself as directed to do, upon the only stool in the room. Swinging into a semicircle, the weird line wound about me, and from the one seat on which I was rested, in the center of the room, I gazed successfully upon 7 pairs of gleaming eyes, each pair directed at myself. In the depths of night I was awakened by a noise made by the opening of a door, and one by one 7 masked figures silently stalked into my prison. Each bore a lighted torch, and they passed me as I lay on the floor in my clothes, for I had no bedding, and ranged themselves. Sense is unbearable. I demand to know what is to be my doom, and I desire its fulfillment. Then one stepped forward, facing me squarely. The others closed together around him and me. Raising his forefinger, he pointed it close to my face, and as his sharp eyes glittered from behind the black mask, piercing through me, and as I turned from one to another, the black cowl of each deepened into darkness and grew more hideous. Men or devils, I cried out, do your worst. Make me, if such is your will, as that sunken corpse beside which I was once seated, but cease your persecutions. I have atoned for my indiscretions 1,000-fold, and this suspense slowly said, Why do you not say brothers? Horrible, I rejoined, stop this mockery. I have not suffered enough from your persecutions to make me reject that word as applied to yourselves. You can but murder. Do your duty to your unseen masters, and end this prolonged torture. Brother, said the spokesman,